Now we've looked at summing a single range of cells, but sometimes in this example, we might want to sum multiple ranges. Now, we've seen from some of the other functions there that these different ranges or arguments in our functions are separated out by commas. Okay, so if I wanted for all my regions A, B, and C, it doesn't matter what order they're in for the sum function, got my cells selected, I want to total all the day's absences for all regions. So I'm going to start off with my sum function. Takes its best guess, not a very good one in this case. But let me select region 1 here, so I can select down the region here. It's got the first range in, and you can see on the little tooltip underneath it that I need a comma just to separate it from the subsequent ranges, because they're not in the same area. So I type in a comma, and I put in my second range. As I say, this one doesn't matter what order they're in. And I type a comma, region C. And if that's it, then I can simply press the Enter key in order to accept that with those 3 regions. So if I just double click into that, you'll see the color coding. It's summing all those ranges, but just separated out by a comma. You can also do that, for example, the average age. Okay, so you put in the average function. Some of your data may be on a different sheet. Okay, in fact, I'll just escape out of that, because if I go back to my first sheet in here, our good to know sheet, I've got a small region D in there. So back on my multi-sum, putting the average back in again. I would start at the bottom this time, why not? Absence, type a comma. Region B, type a comma. I've just realised I'm supposed to be doing the age, but never mind, we'll go with absences. In fact, let me just go back and do that again. All right, my apologies. So we go back to our average, and I'll do the age this time, so it doesn't really matter what order, separated by a comma. And then for anything that's on another sheet, indeed, if you've got another file open and you want to sum from there as well, then you can just hop over to that file or that sheet, and after that comma that you've typed in, select the cells that you need. Looking in the formula bar at the top here, it's got the name of the sheet in it. So good to know is the sheet name followed by an exclamation mark, and it's got the cell references, the range that I want. All I need to do now, if I'm finished with that, is press Enter, just pressing return on my keyboard, jumps me back and tells me that the average age for those ranges is 39.6. Again, of course, I can edit that formatting to reduce the number of decimals if necessary. Something else to be aware of then, just moving across to the side here. If we want to calculate the number of people on site, right, we might want to total that. Now, clearly there are a few blank cells in here. There's nothing in those cells. So if I put my sum function in, tends to miss out blank cells, particularly at the start of a range. So if it doesn't get it quite right, then you can extend it using the top corner, or you could reselect it if necessary. Just be aware of the blank cells, it can act slightly differently. Also with the average function, I want to find out the monthly average here of people on site. quite get it right, but if I select the cells as appropriate, enter that in, it tells me there's 1,673 people on site on average. The thing to be aware of is if you've entered a 0 in any of these cells, so you have a 0 value for January, watch that monthly average because it will update accordingly. If I had it for November and December, because it's dividing by, the number of cells that are populated with a value. So clearly a different value if you've got zeros on the average or if it's left blank.